So the classification of organisms, you have the father of taxonomy, which is Carl Linnaeus, and you can see the basic info on Carl Linnaeus on page 507, 508, and 509. So let's see that way. So Carl Linnaeus came up with two basic concepts. You have the binomial nomenclature. So before Carl Linnaeus came up with binomial nomenclature, you have polynomial nomenclature. With polynomial nomenclature, you basically have every name under the sun. You have a list, literally almost pages of lists of just name after name after name that you would need to call one particular species. So what Linnaeus came up with is binomial nomenclature, where essentially in the polynomial nomenclature, the last two names that we call that particular organism would be the actual scientific name, which is the binomial nomenclature as we know it today. For example, for us, Homo sapiens would be our binomial scientific nomenclature. Now, he also came up with the basic concept of hierarchy and establishing this hierarchy to be able to classify organisms. So today we have our hierarchy starting with domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So there are many different ways to be able to actually remember the order of this hierarchy, which was created by Carl Linnaeus. The way that I like to remember it, although vulgar as it is, students tend to remember it anyways. So it's domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. The mnemonic that I have is, and excuse my language, what is it? Damn, King Philip can only fuck good sluts. So again, damn, King Philip can only fuck good sluts. And so if you go through, it's domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. If by all means, you don't need to use that one. It's the one that I always remember. Ever since I first took bio here at FIU, I've been using that particular mnemonic. Now, by all means, you can use whatever, what is it? King Philip can order fun, great socks. I have no idea. Whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. It's just the idea is for the student to actually remember it. Now, each level gets more and more inclusive as you go up the hierarchy. So genus is more inclusive than species, just like family is more inclusive than genus, which is more inclusive than species, etc., etc., as you go up the hierarchy until you reach the domains. So there are limitations as far as the use of this hierarchy, which has come particularly in recent times as far as having molecular evidence being available to classify organisms. So you don't always have a perfect matchup between taxonomy and modern phylogenetics. Phylogenetics would essentially be the study of phylogenies using genetic studies. So using this basic concept, you have the class Reptilia, which doesn't really match up too well with taxonomy because of the fact that the class Aves directly evolved from reptiles. So technically, if you look at it that way, the birds should have streamed off of the reptiles and not be at the same hierarchical classification as reptiles. Okay, they could be, I don't know, an order or a subclass, but they should be under the category of reptiles and not in the same hierarchical level. Okay, let's see. And this takes us into the concept of monophyletic versus paraphyletic versus polyphyletic. with a monophyletic group, it is a group in which has the most recent common ancestor and all of the descendants. Paraphyletic group is a group that has the most recent common ancestor but not all of the descendants, while a polyphyletic group doesn't really have any true relationship between the organisms that you're studying. And you can see that in figure, the differences between the three in figure 23.5, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. And it is 23.5 on page 459. Okay, so now the three domains, and you can see the differences between the domains in table 26.1. That's the bare minimum as far as the different features and differences that they need to know between the three domains. Archaea, bacteria, and eukarya are the three domains that they will need to know characteristics of. Then there's the six kingdoms: bacteria, archaebacteria, protista, plantae or virida plantae, fungi, and animalia. So with the virida plantae,